I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, it's Saturday, so time for one of the blogs that I enjoy doing the most, a motivational blog. You know, I talk so much about the positive mindset that you have to have if you want to be successful in anything in life, whether that's investing, getting ahead financially, staying in shape, whatever it is, you have to have that optimistic, positive mindset. And you want to, surround yourself with like-minded people for sure. Get away from the pessimists, get away from the complainers, the people that are mad at the world. And I think coming out of the COVID lockdown here, I think that pessimism and anger is probably at pretty close to an all-time high. I see it in the comment sections on the Wall Street Journal and in some various media outlets as well. And for good reason. A lot of people have lost their job. They're out of work. The economy, we're probably going to be heading into a recession, maybe a depression. It's going to be a while before things turn back to normal. But as I've often said here, there are going to be people that are going to rise above in these type of situations, which I see every day. And there's going to be some people that react to things. They let life kick them in the head and push them around. And you don't want to be, there's really only two ways to go in life. Positive, take control of your own actions, because nobody is going to help you out. If you're on the government assistant program here and getting those checks, that's great. You've lost your job, but those are going to run out. And, as I've often said, the government is not your friend. They're not going to help you out. Those are going to end here pretty soon, and you're going to be on your own. What I tell people, this has been a really, really fantastic time since mid-March, and I did a few blogs on this, in what I call taking the mirror test. And this is something that I learned from some of my mentors, probably over 25, 30 years ago now. You have to be honest with yourself. What we call the mirror test is looking yourself, in the eye in the morning after you've washed, come out of the shower. And you've got to be honest with yourself. What I would say, and I've been talking to some colleagues in New York recently, ask yourself this: if you have not thrived in the last decade, in other words, if you have not been, your retirement funds haven't been going up substantially, if you haven't bought your principal residence, if you're not getting ahead financially, moving up the corporate ladder, getting better at your career, maybe starting a side hustle, starting your own business, if you haven't thrived the last decade, then you've got to really own up to this, because we have gone through, an unprecedented 12 years here in the stock market, in real estate, ultra low interest rates. A lot of people have made a lot of money the last 10 or 12 years here. And if you've struggled in that environment, then something is very, very wrong with what you're doing, and you've got to make changes. I'm giving you the tough love here. If you've struggled, then it's on you, because the economy, the stock market, the real estate market, the interest rates have all been in your favor. You haven't taken advantage of them. And some of the reasons for that is your outlook on things. You're not surrounding yourself with positive people that are looking to get ahead. You're surrounding yourself in this cocoon of negativity. You're following some of these guys on Twitter, some of these doom and gloomers, some of these complainers that are always pointing the finger at there's always another reason around the corner why they haven't been successful. It never ends with these people. And I can tell you that there'll be hundreds more down the road, especially with the fallout after COVID. It's going to be tough going here. But some people are going to thrive and keep pushing ahead. That's what winners do. Winners look for ways around these things. That's life. Life throws you some curveballs and some tough stuff. But the winners rise above it. The losers react to these things and complain about it and, oh, woe is me, and feel sorry for themselves. I haven't plugged my book for a bit, but hey, if you haven't bought my book on Amazon, Along for the Ride, have a look at the reviews before you buy it. You'll see it's still a top seller in Canada. I wrote this book as a pay it forward. It's not a moneymaker for me. And if you read the reviews, I know I've helped a lot of people change their attitude and change their mind. My first couple of chapters in this are all about the mental mindset, because the rest of the book is going to be useless unless you adopt a positive, optimistic mindset and take control of your own actions. Nobody is going to help you out. The NDP is not your friend. The Liberals aren't your friend. The Conservatives aren't your friend. It's all on your shoulders. And, living in a country, so many people complain, it's always one thing after another. It's the foreign buyers why they haven't bought. It's the empty homes. It's the realtors. It's the government. It's always one excuse after another for their lack of success. And there's always going to be new ones down the road. I mean, here we are, we're living in one of the greatest countries in the world, Canada. We are giving every opportunity here. And I was reflecting back on this on July 1st here on Canada Day. I was reading some really cool tweets from some people that I follow, some Canadians, that were just talking about, reflecting back and just recognizing how lucky we are to be living in a city like Vancouver and being Canadian. We're given every opportunity. People would risk life and limb to become Canadians. We've got a huge advantage here. But it's up to you if you want to take those advantages that we're born with and run with them. It's up to you. Take the mirror test. You have to get comfortable with being a little bit uncomfortable. Life is always going to be difficult. It's not a smooth ride. I haven't had a smooth ride in my career. A lot of people think, they're tweeting me all the time, Owen, you had it easy. You started buying real estate 35 years ago. It was cheap and easy. Well, what they don't go on to talk about is I also had 16% interest rates when I started. It wasn't easier. As a matter of fact, the bar is low, set low now. I think it is easier now than when I started. And if you want to debate me on it, you can tweet me or put a comment here all you want. The opportunities now with technology, time saving, the internet is night and day now to when I started. Gee, I can tell you that putting a deal together real estate wise just 10 years ago was way more time consuming than it is now with things like DocuSign. I used to have to drive out to someone's house at midnight to get an initial. Now it's all done with DocuSign. Some of the side hustles you can get online and the passive income that you can start generating using technology is off the charts now. But you have to be honest with yourself. If you have struggled the last 10 years, something is very, very wrong. Because you should have taken advantage of a lot of these things, and being Canadian alone is going to get you there. What I've often pounded home to people too is just tune out a lot of these negative people. They are bringing so many people down. They're just mad and angry if you dig a little deeper, but it's very difficult to do with these people, who they are. Because they're anonymous, these guys. They have no track record, they have no transparency, but yet you're following them, which amazes me. You need to get away from them. I would say, I've told people many times, I don't watch the news. I don't watch any mainstream media whatsoever. I've tuned it out many, many years ago. I get all the news I need. I have a digital subscription to Wall Street Journal. I subscribe to about 6 newsletters that take me about 10 minutes in the morning when I get up and have my coffee to read. And that's all I need. I get everything I need to know about the world, politics, everything. You should do the same thing. Stop watching CNN. Stop watching Fox News, for that matter. They're polar opposites if you're either Republican or Democrat. On the final note, I read an interesting article actually in the Wall Street Journal. It talked about this echo chamber of news and this endless stream of these push narratives that their mainstream media is putting out. In other words, if you watch CNN, you're obviously a Democrat and hate Trump. If you watch Fox News, you love Trump and you're a Republican. But there's no middle ground. It talked about how these media outlets are just churning out this propaganda, both left and right, but nobody is being converted in between. It's just an echo chamber it's just reaffirming their audience. They're not reporting the news anymore. It's just the narrative, whether it's left or right. Just dial all of it out. The only person you should be focusing on is you. You're staring at you, him or her, in the mirror every morning. That's what you need to focus on. Getting ahead, saving your money, putting aside 20%. Come hook or crook, you should be buying your principal residence. That is the first step for everyone financially. There's nothing you're going to be able to tell me to change my mind. I just posted an article from Bloomberg here talking about the same thing. Well-written article. Take advantage of the principal resident exemption. You do not want to be a lifetime renter. It will kill you financially when you're spending $2,200 a month for a simple one bedroom. Do the math. You're going to drop $1.5 million over the next 40 years after tax and have zero to show for it. Take advantage of the principal residence. Buy your principal residence. Start putting some money, maxing out your RSP and TFSA. The final thing I'll say with that too, with all the turmoil that's been going on in the markets, and I'm expecting a lot more. I see people all the time, they're saying the market's going to crash, it's crashing, or they panic and they sell. I had some guys that were blogging about the blog I did a few weeks ago, or commenting about, I'm saying that the market's bounced back quite well here, and these guys, they just don't get it. They will tweet me and saying, let's wait 3 months, wait 6 months. This isn't going to end well. They never think it's going to end well. The stock market, the real estate market. The guy, wait 3 months and let's see what happens. Why would I wait 3 months? You didn't watch my blog. I got a better idea. Let's wait 20 years. Because when I'm buying either an investment property or a principal residence, I've got a long-term goal there. I'm not going to buy an investment unit and sell it in a year or two. I'm going to play 9 innings of baseball. I'll review it in 20 years after my tenant has paid off the mortgage. Then we'll look at it. Why would I care what the price does in 3 or 4 months? These people just don't understand. And I know for a fact, a lot of them I'm never going to reach. I don't know. They've got blinders on. Most of them, though, too, of course, you'll find if you can dig a little deeper on them, which you never can, they never own any real estate. Nobody would talk like that who owned a principal residence or had some investment properties, because they understand. You buy it, you hold it, you enjoy it, and tune out all the short-term volatility and noise. And it's the same thing in the stock market. I was reviewing my portfolio with one of my guys in New York. We had some wild rides here. You've got to get used. I talked in about my book how, back in 08, 09, my portfolio took $1 million hit. But I was comfortable with that. I was buying as much as I could. If you want to supercharge your retirement and you really want to create some success, you better get used to that. In March and April, I had $100,000 swings up and down in my portfolio. Now, I've got a large portfolio, but you can get there too. But you better be comfortable with that. That's what success looks like. You're going to have days where your stock portfolio is down 160 grand. We had some 7-8% drops in the S&P. It was unheard of here. But you've got to get used to that. That's what successful people are comfortable with. They don't care if their portfolio drops 150,000 in a day, because the next day it's usually up 100. Just tune it out. If you're bothered by it, don't look at it. But that's what you have to get comfortable with. You can't time markets, and so many people seem to think they can time a market, get in and out of the stock market. I never sold a stock back in March and April, but I bought whatever I could because I've got a long-term need. And the other thing I've talked about in my book, I could care less about what the day-to-day price is on Apple or Johnson & Johnson or Costco or Visa. My goal is to build a big enough portfolio, which I managed to achieve back 10 years ago now, that I don't have to worry about the stock price. I'm generating a 6-figure income just in dividends alone. That's what you call bulletproofing a retirement. You never have to worry about selling a stock. If you want to sell a stock and take a trip around the world and sell $20,000 of shares of a Costco, go ahead. But by really bulletproofing it, you never have to. You can just draw out the dividends that they're paying you every quarter. But you've got to be comfortable with the price fluctuations on the underlying assets you're holding. And those can fluctuate wildly. Up 100,000, down 100,000, up 125, down 125,000. That's daily. So take the mirror test. You got to turn optimistic. Tune out the short-term noise that is out there. Focus on the long term. It's the only advantage you have. I'm telling you now. And as you guys know, I've got friends on Wall Street, private equity, hedge fund guys. They will tell you the same thing. You go out for a beer with them, and if you ask them, how do I invest as a young person or someone in your 40s or 50s for retirement? They will tell you the same thing. Index invest, buy the dividend, buy the index, S&P 500. And if you want to down the road and you've got an interest in it, buy some good dividend-paying stock, tuck it away. Don't buy just anything. Buy the best, tuck it away, collect the dividends, reinvest it. That's the only advantage you have. Being a trader in real estate or stocks, you're going to get your head handed to you every time. You'll probably lose all your money. Might take a few months, might take a few years. Even if you, by some inkling, get lucky, your gains over the next 10 or 20 years will be muted. You won't be able to come anywhere near what just buying the S&P 500 and holding it for 20 years is going to do for you. So don't play that game. Same thing with Vancouver real estate. Buy your principal residence, stop renting, enjoy the home, move up the ladder if you need a bigger place. Start with a 1-bed or a studio. Keep saving your money. Buy a 2-bedroom 5 or 6 years from now. Hang on to them. Just stay in the market. It's as simple as that, folks. And tune out all these doomsdayers and guys telling you to time the market and hold out for another 6 months. Probably not going to be in your best interest. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.